Welcome to Crisis in Perception, where we examine the systems shaping our world, one book at a time. So today, we're going to dig into Andy Borowitz's Profiles in Ignorance. And we're going to explore this really powerful idea. What if modern politics isn't really a debate over policy anymore, but a performance on a stage? A stage where the real goal isn't to be right, but to get the loudest applause.
And right out of the gate, the book just hits you with this incredible contrast. On one side, you've got Harry Truman, who thought that being dumb was pretty much the worst thing for a leader, and on the other, you have Donald Trump, whose biggest worry seems to be, well, appearances. This contrast just perfectly sets the scene for the shift in values the book is all about. A huge move away from substance and deep into stagecraft.
So this idea of a stage becomes the central metaphor for the entire analysis. You have to think of it this way. In this political theater, success is all about the audience's reaction. It's not about how true the lines are or the quality of the script. It's about how many people are cheering, how many people are voting, and how many people are clicking. Factual accuracy, well, it kind of takes a backseat to the performance itself.
Now, this didn't happen overnight. It's like the stage itself was rebuilt, piece by piece, over decades. Back in the mid-20th century, the stage was smaller. The audience seemed to expect expertise. But then came 24-hour cable news, which needed something to talk about all the time, and politics became a never-ending show. And then, boom, the internet and social media created this gigantic, interactive theater, where the audience can give instant feedback, good or bad.
And when you rebuild the stage, you totally change the incentives for the performers, right? This is the crucial point. It suddenly became way more valuable to be resonant than to be right. A simple, emotional story, even if it's full of holes, gets way more applause, more clicks, and more votes than some complicated, nuanced policy idea. The whole system started rewarding a completely different set of skills. And the logical outcome of these new incentives is what Borowitz calls the 3 acts of ignorance. It's a progression, a story in 3 parts. First, there was ridicule, where if you were seen as ignorant, your career was over, so you had to perform being smart. Then came acceptance, where being a little clueless could actually be spun as being authentic. And now, we're in celebration, a stage where ignorance is not just accepted, it's actively rewarded.
Let's look at Act 1, ridicule. Ronald Reagan is the key example here. I mean, the man was a former actor, a masterful performer. He could take these really simple, anti-intellectual ideas and deliver them with such charm and sincerity that it totally masked his lack of deep policy knowledge. The performance was so good, the audience just didn't feel the need to check the script too closely.
And that brings us to Act 2, acceptance. This quote about George W. Bush is just wild. When he couldn't answer a reporter's pop quiz on foreign leaders, his team actually saw it as a win. Why? Because it made him seem relatable, just a normal guy, not some stuffy, out-of-touch expert. All of a sudden, not knowing things was being reframed as a good thing. The performance was changing.
And this brings us to, right now, Act 3, celebration. At this point, the rules are completely flipped on their head. Being uninformed isn't a weakness you have to hide anymore. It's a strength. It's proof that you're one of the people, not one of those elites. And in this kind of environment, as Borowitz points out, even the most outrageous claims can get you a standing ovation from the right crowd.
So when you see this play out, you have to ask yourself, why does a system like this stick around? Well, the book points to a really powerful self-reinforcing loop. The media platforms get massive ratings from all the drama. We, the audience, get a show that's way more entertaining than boring policy debates. And the political performers, they get the applause they want, which translates to power and votes. It seems like everyone's incentives are lined up perfectly to keep the show going. So it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Who's actually responsible for this performance?
Borowitz's analysis kind of forces you to look beyond just blaming the individual politicians. Instead, it makes you look at the architecture of the stage itself, the whole media ecosystem, the incentives baked into our politics, the cultural demand for everything to be entertainment. The problem isn't just that we have bad actors, it's that we've built a stage that actually rewards a bad performance.
This is the crisis in perception. When we focus only on an individual politician's ignorance, we mistake the actor for the architecture of the theater. We completely miss the real story, which is the interlocking system of media markets that need constant drama, identity incentives that reward tribalism, and an entertainment culture that has totally reshaped what we expect from politics. It's the system, not just the person, that's creating this outcome. This project is free and publicly accessible. If you'd like to support the time, tools, and research behind Crisis in Perception, you can become a supporter on Patreon. For a longer audio-based analysis of this topic, see the deep dive linked in the description.
If you enjoy this kind of systems-level analysis, please like, subscribe, and comment with books or topics you'd like us to explore next.